You are Locked On Astros POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, we're here for a Locked On Astros postcast. Sorry, when they go to extra innings, sometimes it takes a second to get ready because I wasn't exactly ready for it at the moment. Maybe that's all. Maybe the Astros get the extra innings 2-1 win in 10. He's no longer Victor Caratini. He is Victor Walkoff. Two of them on the season now for the Astros as they continue to play good baseball, squeaking one out on a night that comes with controversy. We have a lot to dig into on the front of Ronel Blanco, who was ejected from the ball game for a foreign substance check. It's going to be interesting to see what happens from this. In all likelihood, no matter what happens, he'll get his 10-game suspension. The team will play the rest of this homestand down a man with a bullpen that's now been taxed quite a bit. It is going to be so very important for this club to get length out of their starters over these next few days to, really ease the pain of what happened tonight with the loss of Ronel Blanco, which is a significant one. And it does raise a lot of questions overall. And again, we'll get to all that as we move along with this show. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So let's start with the good tonight real quick before we get to the glaring bad of Ronel Blanco being ejected from the game. They got another win. This club is playing better baseball of late. They've won 5 of their last 6 baseball games. It's something that we've all wanted to see them do. It's exactly what they need to do, which is go out there and get these victories. They're now, 17-25 on the season with the win tonight. That's awesome. That is something that, that's not looked possible there for a minute that they could creep closer and closer back to 500, which, they're still a long ways off. A lot of work to go to get back there. But these are the kind of games that you have to go out there and do it. You're not going to win big every night. We know that. And, yeah, there was a glaring issue of this baseball game of Ryan Pressly going out there and again. The facts are the facts of Ryan Pressly. He's just not been very good. And he, I know that they're, to an extent, feels like they're covering for him a little bit with he's got an injury and whatnot, or the back's been bugging him, but he's just been bad. Coughs up a lead. Josh Hader nails. That's why you signed Josh Hader there for 2 innings. Gets out of that jam, of course, with the inherited runner there in the 10th, and then all you got to do is move the ball. God, could you not have had more This Is Baseball in 2024 in that bottom half of the 10th inning than Jake Myers trying miserably at times to put down a bunt? The opposing pitcher scared to death to throw him a fastball so he can't do it by throwing nothing but breaking balls, only for the count to get to 3-2 because he couldn't throw strikes, and then he couldn't put down a bunt. And then to whack one, and the cameraman totally got duped into thinking it was a walk-off home run in park as Todd Callis freaked out in the TV call. But man, oh man, wins are wins, and this team, again, has needed these in the worst way. The real quick update on the standings in the American League West as I am refreshing my page there. The Astros 6 games out of the division. The Rangers did lose tonight, so the Astros gained ground on them. They also gained ground, of course, on Oakland. They win tomorrow night. They're going to have a series win, and they'll be tied with Oakland in terms of win-loss, in the loss column. They'll be tied, period. Tomorrow night if they can pull off that win. So let's get to the controversy of the night now. And we'll get to all the angles of it. I'll try to cover all the angles of it. Ronel Blanco tossed from the baseball game. And it's not a good look. You don't know. I don't know. The umpires don't even exactly know what's on the glove that they inspected and had been inspecting all night. Here is what I do know. Rosin is allowed to be used, correct? Yes. Rosin is a substance that once you get it wet, and Ronel Blanco is a sweater like crazy, will get sticky. The thing is, If it's on the inside portion of the glove on the palm, that's probably not rosin, if it's something. But also, then it calls into question the realistic use of a substance inside the palm like that, where you'd have to be sticking your hand in there to get to it, and the umpire, it would be visible to him the entire night. Correct? If I'm wrong in all this, and I'm trying to be logical side of thinking, that would be a little bit strange. Now baseball has the glove. They're going to examine it. I was asked the question on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. You know, what's baseball going to do if it's wrong? Well, they're not going to do anything. They're just going to say sorry about it. That's it. The Astros got screwed into pitching, going through a game with their pitcher only lasting. How long did he go into the game? Third inning and 2/3, or 3 2/3, or whatever it was, or 3 innings, before he had to leave. I do wonder how a player has been going through substance checks on the hands and on the glove, which they said during the broadcast, and you saw it, like they'd been checking his glove. Suddenly he's got something in the middle of it. So, like, there's so many layers to it. I think the easiest conclusion to make, there's 2 conclusions. 1, he's using a foreign substance. 2, he is a big time. I mean, the guy walks out there and he looks like he's been bathing out in the Houston humidity, and he's indoors and it's 73 degrees. Like, he looks like me. I'm a sweater. I would go out there and do the same thing. But that's how he looks from the jump when he makes a start. And the Astros tonight had him in a spot where, he's pitching well, and he's pitched really well all season long. And that's where the Astros past of sign stealing and everything else. This is the internet. This is 2022 or 2024. Why I say 2022 is when they won the World Series. I mean, I get it. I got it immediately. I know you guys are like me. You've got, apps on your phone, right? And you get a billion notifications for different apps. And I've got the ESPN app. I've got the, or the CBS, the Athletic, a bunch of the sports ones. And ESPN, you don't ever get any alerts from any of them at all. When anything happens baseball-wise, Astros player has something happen, there's an alert. 5 minutes after it happened. The internet might take flames with it, which is fine. Go for it. Here's the God's honest truth to it. And there's going to be some people that hear this that just want to, or they're going to have a brick. They've got bricks for brains. And you can't use any kind of logic, and you can't recognize anything. They took away sticky substances in baseball a couple years ago with the spider tack stuff. Do not for 1 second sit there and now I'm not trying, like if Ronel Blanco had a substance on his hand tonight and he was by the letter of the law cheating in the game, he should get his suspension. They were right to eject him. It is what it is. He's got to live with that stain. But that anybody living in this world that sits there and thinks that this doesn't go on still in baseball, you are as naive as it gets. As naive as it gets. It's just like the sign stealing thing. Guess what they're still doing across the sport? Sign stealing. They just do it different ways. Baseball's history is a sport of we're going to get one up on the opponent. It's gamesmanship. It's whatever. I can tell you, and this isn't an Astros thing. I heard this about another team that was in town. After all that happened, my years of doing pre- and post-game shows, and I was down there on the field by the opposing dugout, and I was talking to somebody that covers the other team, and I'm not going to say the team at the time, and I was talking to him about, some of their pitchers were doing really well, and they're, this was all off the record stuff at the time, and again, I'm not going to tell you who it was. And like, yeah, they found their new substance. And I'm like, oh, what is it? They were using insect repellent on their hands. They'd spray it on before the inning. It'd get a little sticky, and it would wear off real quick to where they couldn't feel it when they'd get done with the inning. So it's still going on. But again, if Ronel Blanco broke the rules tonight, he broke the rules. Period. End of story. He deserves a suspension. He has to live with the mark. It's not the Astros. I'm never going to sit here and tell you it's the Astros problem necessarily because, again, it's a baseball problem where baseball, they had the sticky substance be a thing, and then all of a sudden they're going to stop. And if you ever held a Major League Baseball in your hand, it's like a ball of chalk. It's got no seams half the time. So it absolutely, you need to be quiet over here. Sorry, my dog has decided it's time to start howling at the moon. There needs to be some sort of, universal substance that pitchers can put on their hands or muddying of the ball, whatever it might be. But the fallout from it is not going to be significant at all. But it's not a good look. Let's talk more about it not being a good look for Blanco, a pitcher that's come so far this season. Does it put a black eye on it for you? We got a lot more to get into it from what happens. But the important thing, the Astros won. Again, welcome to the Locked On Astros postcast tonight. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button while you're there. We do this after every game. We'll do this for all Houston sports all year long right here on this channel. But more on the Blanco situation after this quick message. And the quick message right now is about PrizePicks. You heard me talking about them a minute ago. PrizePicks makes everything just a lot more fun when it comes to watching sports. And you should download that app today to get in on the action. It's more or less, right? You go in there and you look tonight, if you were betting on the less, for the Astros hits, for whatever player it might have been, you probably would have done pretty well. Tomorrow night, you might do even better. Who knows? It just makes games a lot more interesting when you're watching them. I love it. I play it every night, and you should get on it as well. Like I said, it's really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Testing my skills on PrizePicks this baseball season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $100 in just a few taps. So again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100 from PrizePicks. Welcome to the Locked On Astros postcast right here on the Locked On Sports Houston page. Again, Michael Connor here with you. If you are new to our page, please hit the subscribe button. There's a lot of you watching tonight. I appreciate all of you that are watching. Stick around. Come back. We do this every night. Again, when the Astros win or lose. A lot more fun when they do this after victories. I mean, I know that there's the Ronel Blanco thing going on, but they get a win. They're 2-1 there in the 10th inning. The Astros picking up win number 17 of the year, 17-25. 2 more games against Oakland here. You might as well go ahead and take advantage of them because they're playing like they typically do against Oakland. Tomorrow's game, by the way, again, another 7-10 first pitch in that one. Framber Valdez. Boy, do they need Framber to go out and pitch one of his 7 or 8 inning games that he likes to pitch. He's going to go up against Aaron Brooks in that one tomorrow. So let's go back to Ronel Blanco real quick because there's still a lot to unpack from all of this. The look for Ronel Blanco is not good. His story is incredible. A player that was a catcher in the minor leagues and things were not going his way. He was just probably never going to make it. He converts over to a pitcher, and years and years and years later, finally seems to find it at the age of 30 and tosses the first no-hitter of the season. What is second start of the year? And look, the Astros continue to win when he starts. They're 7-1 now when he starts this season, even though he came out of the game early tonight. But he's been their best, most consistent starter. He's always been a guy before this year that had issues with command, that could not throw strikes consistently. And that was a big problem last year. We'd see it. Now, a huge part of his success this year has become the changeup. And this is where you go back to wondering about, okay, maybe there is a substance being used. Is he getting so much success with this changeup because he's got something on it that's given the grip the ability to hold on to the baseball longer? And on a changeup, it's all about the arm action. You're throwing it as hard as you typically do a fastball, but with the grip, the way that you have it, and the way it's released, it's going to slow down and typically dive down. His doesn't dive down a lot. Now, maybe that's an argument for there's not substances on his hand. But you have the fact that a guy that struggled to throw strikes at times, and he struggled to throw some strikes tonight early in the game. But is he getting better all of a sudden because he's sitting here and he's got something on his hands? That would be something that you don't want and don't need. And from the story standpoint, everybody wants to believe in the good story, right? I do. Simple as that. And I'm going to sit here until I see what Major League Baseball says, what it is. Joe Espada, by the way, I'm just reading this tweet from Chandler Rome of The Athletic. Joe Espada said from his vantage point, he saw rosin mixed with sweat on Ronel Blanco's glove. It is illegal to use rosin on your non-pitching hand, Espada said, hence why Blanco was ejected. So look, if that's the case, it's simply rosin on his non-pitching hand. Is it that big of a deal at the end of the day? No. But he will get suspended. Rosin is a legal substance. It's on the mound in a bag. And as I mentioned earlier, if you sweat a lot like Blanco does and you mix rosin, you throw some rosin into the mix, your hands will get tacky. But there's nothing that's against the rules there. But if it is, again, under the glove like that, as Chandler Rome mentions, they're on your non-pitching hand, that's why you're tossed from the baseball game. Because they don't want you to build it up in one spot. And again, if he's a sweater like that, and it pools to an extent, and you got a lot of rosin in there, then it could get this sticky substance, which to them, when they touch his hands and they look at it, they'll see the white, and that's not that big of a deal. It is what it is. So, if that explanation from Joe Espada is accurate as to what happened in the situation, then I'm not that worried about it. I don't think that anybody should be that worried about it. And it's going to be one of those things a lot like the other guys that have had this happen to them as well. It'll be blown over and forgotten about. Max Scherzer was suspended for this. There's been multiple guys suspended for this. And again, Espada said it was on his non-pitching hand, which is illegal according to the rule book. Which again, Ronel Blanco broke the rules technically, correct? And he got caught. Then he should be punished, like every other pitcher should be. I have found it interesting this year. If you've gone to a game or paid attention to a game, it feels like the checks are not as routine in terms of like every inning all the time. Sometimes the guys will come off the mound and they don't check them. Maybe I'm just not paying enough attention. I've always thought that policing it is a good thing because you don't want to go back. Look, you don't want to go back to the spider tag days. Those days, the only way to combat that was to truly that when we went look at the 2019 season in baseball. You had guys getting 1 billion strikeouts all over the place, having career years. Then you had guys hitting career years and home runs because we had a juice baseball and spider tack all over the place. At least this isn't spider tack. This is rosin. It's just placed in the wrong spot. Now it's on him to figure out how he can place it on his body to successfully mix it with the sweat and it not be in somewhere that's illegal. That's what he's going to have to do. Tonight, he's probably been doing this all season. And again, right, wrong, and whatever, by the rules, wrong. He's not the only one, but he's the one that got caught tonight. It will be interesting to see if Major League Baseball takes any consideration. I'm not talking about just from this situation in general, to how they move forward with the rosin issue. Because if you're giving the player the substance, shouldn't they be able to do with it as they please on the mound? I don't know. It's a lot of stuff that goes to a pay grade that you and I and others will never get to. Then it's Major League Baseball who never gets anything right. But Ronel Blanco, with this explanation, 1,000% will serve his 10-game suspension. And that is, again, a blow to this Astros team that is going to have to get through this period of time without him. And he's been their best starter. There's just no other way around it. He's been better than Fromber. He's been better than Verlander. He has been their best starter all season long. And they need him. And losing him will absolutely hurt this ball club for a few days. They better hope they get through this stretch, the rest of this homestand. It still has, 8 games, 9 games, or 7 games left on it, whatever. 8 games left on it. So, yes, 8. What time is it? It's 10:36 at night. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. We're going to be hitting the sheets as soon as this game ends, people. You better believe it. We got more to talk about. We've done all this talk on Blanco. Let's talk a little bit about the win, because the win was needed again, and the club is playing better baseball. And somebody else stood out once again tonight. We'll do all that after this brief message. And I need to tell you now about Policygenius. Like baseball games, life has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the end is where you could leave your loved ones behind with a big old bill to pay. Something that's not going to help them be protected in these situations. And Policygenius is a place that you need to get to that is filled with trustworthy people that don't have bias, that are going to get you the right advice for picking your life insurance policy. It's a big, big deal. We all need one. Simple as that. Doesn't matter how old we're getting, how old you already are, we need life insurance so you can leave behind, when that time comes for your end, to help those that you love get through the financial part of the equation when it comes to that. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonmlb or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. All right, again, our final few minutes of the Locked On Astros postcast. Very much appreciate all of you that have joined us tonight on a controversial, the win's not controversial, a scandalous, as I put it in the title, win for the Astros, because Ronel Blanco tossed in the baseball game for rosin under his glove, in his palm of his glove, and that mixed with the sweat makes it very, very sticky, and that is what the umpires ejected him from the game for tonight. So we will see. I shouldn't even say that. It's simple as it's going to be a suspension for Ronel Blanco, and it is what it is. Maybe the A's had something to do with it tonight. Maybe the A's picked up on something and said, maybe there's something under that glove. Could you go check it for us? You never know. You never know how these things work. But he got caught. He'll serve a suspension, and the Astros will have to get him back after that. Simple as that. How about this? And by the way, I'm looking at the comments here. I think it was Goat saying, "What if it's not what it is?" That's from Joe Espada saying it's rosin. So if it doesn't matter what the substance is, it's going to end up being a 10-game suspension. He's going to be suspended for 10 games. But how about the baseball game for the victory tonight? And we haven't even mentioned this guy's name yet. How about Alex Bregman? 2 nights in a row, he's homered. Last night, of course, he hit 2 home runs. Tonight, he hits 1 home run that put the Astros out in front. Looked like it was going to be all they needed in the baseball game until Ryan Presley happened there late in the baseball game, trying to close it out. And, of course, Abraham Toro was the guy that hit the double to start the inning, and then you know exactly how that went. Bregman's hit 4 home runs now. His swing is looking better by the day, which is a very good thing for the Astros. 2 for 4 today. The only player for the Astros that had multi-hits, multi-hit game. I thought he was the only one in the game, but the A's had 2 with Toro and Langoliers. Bregman playing like this and finding a way to do it consistently is going to be the biggest development that this baseball club can have. because to have his bat be any sort of consistent and, to have the bat quality that he typically gives you, and of course he plays elite level defense over there at third base, but to insert that back into the middle of your order, he slid back up to the 5 hole tonight, but to slide that back up in your order eventually and him go out there and be Alex Bregman and an elite level player at times when he gets going, that's massive. And it lengthens the line. It does all the things that you need this club to have to be successful long term and to fix this thing. So again, if you're like me and you want to remain hopeful that yes, you can figure out how to turn this thing around, and especially in a division that we've talked about this. I mean, that they're 17-25, and they're only 6 games out of their division race. Lucky to have that be the scenario. It's on them to take advantage of that. It's on them to find a way to make it back, and then not only make it back to 500, but then to take it forward from that point. So you have to have wins like this. It's very encouraging that they've come back home and won 2 baseball games as well. Sure, they could do better at not leaving guys on base. They could do better at not leaving runners in scoring position. It's not going to be perfect every night. Last night, the numbers looked better. I get that. I think we live in a instant gratification, freak out type of world where if it's not perfect every single night, we're going to say it's the end of the world. There's going to be nights where you just don't do it. I understand that. Am I not frustrated? Or am I frustrated by it? Of course I'm frustrated by it. Who is it? Watching them sometimes hit with runners in scoring positions, a pain in the you-know-what. But there's also going to be a night where they go out and they're 8 of 13 or something. They scored 14 runs. That's baseball. Baseball is, and I've said this for years, baseball will do baseball. It's a silly, silly sport where silly things happen, and there's such a level of inconsistency and unpredictability across it that trying to wrap your head around it and figure it out just sometimes does not make sense. And to me, that's one of those things that you kind of have got there. The other shout-outs, Jose Altuve tonight, if you missed that, picks up career hit number 2,100. His at-bats have not been very good lately. He's not been great. He's slowed down a little bit. They need him to pick it back up. But 2,100 hits, 900 away from 3,000, which I suspect he'll get. And then the other one, of course, again, Victor Caratini with the walk-off. 2 walk-off winners for Victor Caratini in extra innings with the Astros. A walk-off homer and now a walk-off single there. That's got to be pretty cool. I like his at-bat quality when he gets up to the plate. I like what he does. It was an interesting move, I think, maybe by a spotter there to go to Victor Caratini, and it worked. It worked to get the victory, and here you are right now. And that's the best part is that you didn't squander the opportunity that Josh Hader gave you. Josh Hader found a way out of that inning. He, of course, let the first guy on, and then they both advanced to set up second and third where a sac fly is going to take the lead. And Josh Hader bared down and pitched like the $95 million pitcher and got out of it and really reached back and led the Astros to a chance to win the baseball game. And you rewarded him. And that's huge what they did tonight. It's going to stink. Hader won't be available, you'd imagine, tomorrow. Hopefully the 4th game of this series. So that's something to keep in your mind, is they've got a lot of guys right now that have been used because of what happened tonight with Ronel Blanco, which, again, if you missed that, toss in the baseball game. It is what it is. I'm sure he will be serving his suspension starting tomorrow night. Again, thank you for joining us tonight here on the Locked On Astros POSTCAST, Locked On Sports Houston page. If you are new to it, please hit subscribe. If you're looking for it in its podcast form, anywhere that you get podcasts, search for Locked On Astros. You'll get this show and the Locked On Astros show, and they are for the price of free $99. Who doesn't love that? Thank you for joining us. We'll do it again tomorrow night after Astros and A's right here on the same channel. Talk to you all then.